Hi, I'm Judy Mario, and this is the World of Book Reviews. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to be talking about this wonderful book called Life in Tins, and the author is Peter Shankland. Peter, thank you for being here with us tonight.
Hello, Judy. My pleasure.
Now, what do you mean by Life in Tins?
Life in Tins is just what it says. It is my life story shared to spark the telling of people's own personal stories by decades. So it's a childhood, adolescence, 20s, 30s, 40s.
So it's by 10-year
Yeah, by
interludes.
decades.
That's an interesting way to write a book.
Yes.
I like it. And this is you here on the
That
cover,
is me
isn't
at
it?
2 days old.
Isn't that? That's darling.
I think I'm a little cute, and everyone tells me I look the same, except for the hair.
Yeah, I think you had a little more hair at 2 days old.
I did.
Yeah. So why did you write the book, Peter?
I started to write the book simply because I had time available, and I think like a lot of people who may watch this show, people have said to them, you need to write that down. And people have told me that for years. And at the end of 2015, I sort of had time to write it down. So for the last 2 years, I've been writing it down.
Yes,
And that is the result.
And it's a memoir of...
It is a memoir. The idea of Life in Decades wasn't something I started out with. It's something that developed as I started telling my story. How do you organize your thoughts? And decades seemed like a really good way to break up my life because everyone experiences the same thing.
Yes.
So,
But differently.
But differently for sure, different stories. And I really feel like we, as creatures, are storytellers. You've written multiple books. By the way, congratulations on the launch of your recent book.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. The Practical Guide to Writing and Launching Your Book.
Yes,
the Fast Track Guide. That's
to help
wonderful.
other people.
Absolutely. And an aside, my book comes with, actually, there's 4 parts to my book. There's this book that we have. I have 2 additional books, Life in Tins, Stories Shared to Spark Memories and Storytelling, about how to write your own story. And Life in Tins, Your Turn, a private journal where you can keep your own thoughts and ideas.
Ooh.
And also it comes with workshops as well, which I've run several of them here in the Las Vegas Valley already. So it's a whole package that comes with my book.
And the
that I'm
workshop,
excited
is
about.
that to help other people write a memoir, or what is it?
It's a combination of meditation techniques together with journaling. So you learn some meditation techniques, and I take you through a guided meditation, and then you free associate the things that came up during that guided meditation, and then you talk those things, and then you write those things.
Oh, I want to do that. You have to tell me when
I'm
you're
really
doing
excited.
it next time.
Yeah,
I
I've
wanna
done
come.
4 of them so far, and they've gone really well, and I'm planning to do more of them for sure.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's
wonderful.
been really lovely.
You know,
So-
you spent quite a bit of time in Nepal, right?
I sure did. That's my 30s is broken into 2, because I spent 6 years in Nepal and then 4 years in Hong Kong. So my
What were you
30s is
doing there?
divided. All of them was teaching related, something about English of various forms. It was teaching English as a second language. I taught in the corporate setting in the Learning and Education Division of a international tax company. I taught public speaking. I taught test taking. Anything sort of English related, writing, that kind of thing. But that's in there, and it is because the broad picture of my life is I've been a teacher.
Yes, yes.
The constant of everything I've done is being a teacher.
But that's where I met you.
It sure is,
Because
yes.
you were at the university where I was doing a program. And,
Yes.
And that's where we met.
Absolutely. To your viewers, Judy and I have been friends for, my goodness, that would have been late 2008, 2009, 2010. So
Yeah.
at least a decade we've been working together
We
and
have been.
saying hello to each other
Yeah.
and getting involved in
And
each
you
other's
need to
lives.
tell the world what an incredible masseuse you are as
Oh,
well.
that's very kind to say.
You are the best.
I
I think you are
appreciate
the
that.
best in the world.
I appreciate that.
I am not kidding you. I have had massages all over the world, but you are incredible. when you,
Yeah.
in the book, do
Yeah.
you share a lot of your philosophy of life? Because I know you're very into, is it Ayurveda? And,
Sure,
and you're
sure.
very, you're into a lot of things like meditation and massage and,
Sure,
and
sure.
studying health and essential oils and things. Do you tell about that in your book?
I certainly talk about that. When I went back to school, after doing 15 years of English-related things, I decided to go back to school, and I decided to become a massage therapist. Because in my 15 years of travel at that point, I had studied shiatsu massage in Japan, I'd studied Balinese massage, I'd studied Chinese medicine, I'd received Chinese medicine, I studied Indian medicine, I received Indian and Chinese medicine as my main health care for about 10 years. So it's second nature to me now.
Yes.
So I went back to school for all of that. And it's in my book, and I talk about that and the things that led me to that. Sure. I think people will relate to it, particularly nowadays as we're looking for alternative medicines and different complementary things to make us feel a little bit healthier than many of us are.
Exactly.
So I do that. And also you mentioned the philosophies and things. My book is really just, I feel like it is my experiences and my ideas told to stimulate conversation among the readers. That's
Exactly.
really what I want.
Right.
It's not a book, this is what to believe. It's a book of, this is what I think, how about you?
We're going to be right back and
Okay.
hear more of what you think in
Thank
just
you.
a minute.
Sure.
So join us in just a second when Peter shares with us some more of the things he thinks.
Thank you for calling Denim Revival.
Hate to say goodbye to your favorite jeans? Well, now you don't have to, because Denim Revival is here for you. Mail us your jeans and our professionals will fix it right up. We offer you all kinds of alteration services, including invisible repairs, let-outs, taperings, and original hemming, or even have your own custom-made jeans. Quoted the best denim repair shop by GQ, Vogue Magazine, and LA Times. Denim Revival, your search for alteration and repair ends here.
Love is the essence of beauty, and at Vegas Beauty Skin Center, we love what we do. Fall in love with your skin again. From our laser services to eyebrow threading and facials, everything we do at Vegas Beauty Skin Center is about helping you look your best. Come to Vegas Beauty Skin Center, where every client is number one. Call 702-722-6464. LVAC members receive 20% off all services.
Welcome back. This is Judy Mario, and this is the World of Book Reviews. And I'm talking to my good friend Peter Shankland about his new book, Life in Tens. And I have to tell you, I'm so proud of him because I remember when he started this book, and it's so good to hold it in my hands and see it finished. You must feel the same way, Peter. Do you feel like...
I was over the moon when I saw this copy. This is the first copy I got in my hands. And I have this is all a learning curve to me. This is my first book, although I've had the pleasure of contributing to your Life Choices series, which was terrific. But to have a book that I made from beginning to end, and I'm self-publishing on Amazon. So I really didn't know the quality. I didn't know what it would look like when it was published. And then when it came in the mail and I held that book, and I'm really pleased with the quality of the cover and the insides and the production of it and the quality of the photographs, because I have almost 100 pictures of my travels in there. It's full of photographs.
And you are an incredible photographer.
Thank you.
I mean, I own a couple of your
Yes,
photographs, and I have to tell you, he is amazing. Your photographs from people. The people, you have an affinity for people.
Yes, I do.
And the pictures of these people he got from around the world, they're just absolutely incredible. And there are a lot of those in the book.
There sure are,
Yeah.
Photography, I wanted to include my photos. They're part of my story. And related to the pictures, my book has lots of different elements and angles to it that people who really get into it will discover. One of them is, I have lots of pictures, but I have not provided captions for people. But what I've said is, if you read the stories, the pictures are placed related to stories.
Yes.
So if you're that enthused about figuring out what's going on in the pictures, you can clearly discuss with your friends, oh, this picture relates to this story.
Right.
This person must be this, to generate discussion among people. So that's one element of the book. There are several different elements to get people talking. At the end of each chapter, I have what I call reflect and share questions. And they're all based upon the content of that chapter. And they are questions A to Z. And so in my vision, y'all read the book in a book club. You get together, you have your favorite food and drinks. And when you go to discuss the book, you can yell out A to Z, a letter, whatever letter you choose, you read that question, and you, as a group you discuss that question till the conversation runs out, and then you call another letter and begin again.
That's amazing. You thought that out to get people interacting with you.
That's what I want. I want people to talk and converse with each other and share funny, enlightening stories that are entertaining, but also some more serious things about what moves them in their life, what motivates them in their life. So they're all directly drawn from the text, and I'm excited about that because I've run it at events, or I've run at parties I've been to, and it's gone over quite well, so I'm excited to see readers really hopefully embrace it and take hold of it.
Isn't it interesting how we write a book with the intention of telling our story, but at the same time we want other people to get something out of it, that they can make a difference in their life as a result of something we've learned somewhere.
Sure. I think we really, really gravitate towards that. We want to do that, but many times we're not quite sure how to achieve that. And there's a lot of different ways, but I'm hoping my book is one of those ways in which to accomplish something like that.
Oh, I think it is. I loved it. I loved reading it. I loved looking at the pictures and knowing you and what a spiritual being you are and what an incredible man you are. It was interesting to find out how you got to be where you are.
There's some stories that surprised my mama.
I bet.
Sure. But I tell them not because I want you to know I did it, but I tell them because I think we learn over time that we all pretty much experience similar things. The particulars may be different for each of us, but the overarching message, the meaning, the things we may glean from it, we have a lot of commonality there. And so my stories are so you can find yours. And you can share yours. Oh, I remember that. Oh, yeah, I had that. I have experiences like that with people. So I'm really excited about that. And another aspect, for you as the reader, in the middle of the book, embedded in the chapters, I have something called Questions to Ponder, which are questions based again upon my stories, but there are first-person questions that maybe you don't want to discuss with people, but I want you to think about. So there's work involved, Example of those types of questions would be, I have so many, but one would be something like, would I like the same kind of relationship my parents had? Do I hold any stereotypes? What are they? What is my memory of my first sexual encounter? First-person questions that I want you to reflect on.
That I might want to reflect on, but not share with the
You
world.
don't want to sit in a group in a book club and talk about them with people because they're not that. If you are comfortable with doing that, great. But sometimes you want to have personal things, right? You want to keep a little thing to yourself.
But we're going to take a break right now, and then when we come back, we're going to talk more about these personal things.
Wonderful.
We're going to take a little break, and thank you for joining us, and we'll be right back with Peter Shankland in just a moment.
Snap-on dentures will change your life. And at Smiles Today Dental, we now offer the lowest price in town. Mini dental implants can stabilize your loose dentures permanently. Call Smiles Today Dental for a free consultation.
Hi, I'm attorney Eric Palacios. If you or a loved one is facing criminal charges, don't go to court alone. Call me at 444-7777. We can get you the best deal and keep you out of jail. Call 444-7777.
Hi, this is Judy Mario, and this is the World of Book Reviews. Thank you for joining us tonight as we're talking with Peter Shankland about his wonderful book, Life in Tens. And it's about his life, and he's had a very interesting life. I've known Peter for a couple of years now, and I'm absolutely so proud of you, Peter, for writing this book, because I remember when you started it, and you just dedicated yourself to sitting there and doing it. And I remember you've had a lot of life tragedy during this period of time.
Yes.
With the loss of your parents and your brother, and you went home and went through all of that, and went through all of the pictures from your family, and it's hard to write a book when you're emotionally going through those things as well, isn't it?
For sure. Well, the first start of the book was good. The first year or so, everybody was healthy. And as you read my book, I write in the present tense. My father's still alive. We have a great relationship. Things are good in my family, better than they've been. Every family has issues, right? But the last few years, our family really grew close. And so the first few chapters are written in the present tense. And then tragedy happened, and all of a sudden certain people became past tense. So writing through that is, the bulk of it will come in my next book.
Yeah.
The bulk of it will come in my next book.
Yes, it's emotional.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It
Would
is.
you think that maybe in a way it helped you to express that feeling during that period of time?
Certainly it did. By the time things got difficult or very emotional because of life happenings in my family, at that point I'd been writing for well over a year. And when I say writing, Judy,
Every day, I know.
I literally went to work and I came home, and sometimes I would write 12, 20 hours straight and not sleep. I just became focused on this. I felt like this is what I need to be doing. This is where my life needs to be going, to write this and get it down. So I sort of, all of a sudden, 2 years went by and I had a book. I couldn't believe it was 2 years, but I really sequestered myself, and I just, that's what I did. I went to work, I made my money, I came home, and I wrote my book.
Right, I
And
know. Yeah.
I loved it, and I loved the process, and I can't believe it was 2 years of my life, but I'm really happy with the result.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like 2 years since you started
At all,
it, not to
because you
me.
have been with me from the
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
But it doesn't seem like that at all to me, but it has been. And I'm really,
Amazing.
yeah, it really is amazing. And it leads me to believe those people out there who may be watching this, who want to write a book, I applaud people who, boy, if I had a wife and kids and a job and I had to fulfill all my obligations for that aspect of life, where do you find the time to write? I mean, if I had a wife and kids, I could not spend 12 or 15 hours in my bedroom writing all alone and then falling asleep at 6 o'clock in the morning and waking up at 2 in the afternoon and starting again.
Yeah.
I applaud people who manage to get books written with all the other things you have to juggle. But I'm fortunate to not have some of those conditions.
I think most writers that are career writers have to really schedule their time in order to make it happen. Again, I'm fortunate as a writer that I don't have a family, I just have cats, you know. So consequently, I can do like you. I can sit up late at night and write. I can sleep late in the morning if I don't have an appointment. You know, there's that aspect of doing it when I feel like it more so. But I think maybe I should discipline myself a little bit more to specific times because I believe you get more done when you're under a deadline, or at least I do.
Well, something interesting about that point is, first of all, I've never written a book. So my process of writing the book is simply my process and what organically evolved. I didn't have a plan. The questions to ponder sort of appeared on their own. The idea of the reflect and share at the end of the chapters appeared on their own. And incorporating them just created its own synergy for writing, and it got exciting, and I enjoyed including these things and planning on these things, which I found really exciting as a first-time writer, and how that all happened. So my journey was just what unfolded as I went along. And so those aspects happened. Additionally, as part of the book, I had a hefty bag full of journals that I started writing in 1988 when I started my travels. And I traveled out of America from 88 to 2006. And I hadn't read them since 1988, 89, 90, 91 when I wrote them. So part of the process was digging them up and arranging them chronologically, and then opening them up and finding passages that I include in my book that are really illustrative of what was going on at that time in my life. So it was really interesting to look back and see your written self 20 years ago.
Yes.
And what you're saying about yourself, and your mindset, and your youth, and your all sorts of things.
But it really makes me think that perhaps more people should journal, because once it's written down, we don't forget it as much. We're going to have to take a quick break.
Sure.
And we'll be right back with Peter Shankland and his wonderful book, Life in Tins.
Larry, I'm especially proud of the Westport sofa. It's 100% genuine leather.
100% leather?
Leather everywhere, and it's well constructed.
It feels great. The lumbar cushion is perfect.
And it's only $7.99.
$7.99 for 100% genuine leather? You should be proud.
$7.99, Larry's price.
Which means it's honest, unbeatable, and available to you every day. Only at Walker Furniture.
Welcome back. I'm Judy Morio, and this is the World of Book Reviews. And we're talking with Peter Shankland, my good friend Peter Shankland, about his book, Life in Tins. And we were just talking about your journals.
Yes.
And I find that fascinating that you were such a good journal keeper, because I always intend to write journals about my trips, and then I get into the trip and I get into life and I forget to write, and I don't pick it back up, and 3 or 4 days go by. But you were very disciplined about writing those journals.
In my travels, I was. I have no journals from my youth or from my childhood, from my adolescence. I didn't journal then. I started journaling when I traveled because I was traveling alone. And taking a blank notebook and sitting at a cafe and having a cup of coffee and watching the world go by and write down things that I see or experiences I've had was really lovely. And it just satisfied my time, and it made me happy. And suddenly I had dozens of journals. So I actually have only scratched the surface of this book. I probably have only read 10% of my journals. Because once I found my material, I didn't need to read anymore.
Yeah.
It's in the book. And a matter of fact, it got to the point where I read some things that were just so bloody entertaining to me. In my 20s and my 30s, I have amusing journal entries at the end that are just, hello, I found these. I think they're funny and entertaining. Please enjoy them. They're random sentences or paragraphs about things that were obviously happening in front of me at some unknown, remembered time and place that I just think are humorous and insightful. So I include them in the book that I think people will enjoy. I also include some transcriptions. I did some hypnotherapy sessions in Hong Kong, and I did some past life regressions and things. So I found a cassette tape from 1989 that I had not listened to since it was recorded by the therapist, and I transcribed it, and then I highlight some of the transcriptions and comment on it, which I just think is interesting. I just think it's interesting, and try to, there are patterns to our life, right?
Yeah.
And once we get a bit older, we start seeing these patterns, and it helps us understand ourselves better. When you're in the midst of it,
No.
no. So part of my book is we learn lessons and we learn them again and we learn them again until we really understand what we're supposed to learn.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you'll find from my childhood through my 40s, through this process, I found the patterns, or I at least saw patterns I never saw before. And I comment on them and I ask the reader, how about you? What do you think about this? And if you had a similar experience, and those types of things infuse my book.
You know, I had never really thought about reading memoirs until about 2 years ago. I took a course on how to write a memoir, and then I started hearing other people read their pages from what they were writing, and I got so fascinated with them that I've really gotten into memoirs now, and I find that people's lives are really almost more interesting than anything you could make up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I guess people call it a memoir or an autobiography. I've heard that. Friends have said that to me, and I suppose it is because it's about my life.
Yeah.
But I feel like, and you may attest to it, it doesn't read like a linear, I did this and then I did this and I did this and I did this. It's not like that at all. It has features in it that we're in the middle of some story. I have a feature that's like, and it's in italics and set aside. It says one thing or two things. And that's my little step aside from the story and comment on it, or link it up to something in the future.
Yeah.
Or, so I'm talking to the reader and commenting on my own stories now, looking back then.
Yeah.
So it really, in some regards, is a conversation as well. For the reader.
I felt like it was a real good conversation. Would you please tell my audience where they can get a copy of your book, or how they could contact you?
Of course. Thank you. Of course. You can go to www.lifeintens.life. And that will take you to my landing page and link you up to Amazon, where I'm self-publishing, and you can get a copy.
Great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here and to promote my book. And
well, I'm excited that you are here and promoting your book. I think people are going to get a lot from this book. It really is very, very good. And I know you as a teacher and as a instructor in the various schools that you've been in, and I know how intelligent you are and the wonderful writings you've done for Choices magazine. And so thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this evening. Please watch the reruns of all of our shows on aktvshows.com. That's aktvshows.com. Thank you to my producer, Amy Kardashian, for making sure that I have this show and that I get to meet and interview all of these wonderful people. So join us again, and please check out our archived shows. Good night.